Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now your host, Tim Johnson.
We'll talk to one of the state's most successful entrepreneurs when Chris Meaux, founder and CEO of WAITR and the WAITR app, join us when we return on this edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Consumers and property owners with construction projects can have a successful result or regretful experiences that could have been avoided. Before any construction project, verify licensure of the contractor and check references. Scammers will claim to be insured or bonded, so always check first. Download our app, LA Contractor, from the Android or Apple Store. Visit our website, lacontractor.org, or contact the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors. We're here to help before things go wrong. Hire a licensed contractor. It's the law.
Spadel's Florist was founded over 30 years ago. From my mom's kitchen, we have grown into one of the largest florists in this area. There's a sense in our community that you stick together. Good times or bad. And oil and gas is part of that family. They're my neighbors. They're my customers. They're the person I'm sitting next to at church. If oil and gas is doing well, all of our businesses are doing well. We are Louisiana Oil and Gas.
The LCTCS Foundation advocates for every Louisiana community and technical college in the system to keep them on the cutting edge of training and technology. Aligned with businesses across the state, they ensure students develop the highest possible level of skills, keeping Louisiana business and industry ahead of the pack. Visit this website to support the LCTCS Foundation for a higher Louisiana for all.
Passion, experience, safety. These are what set Arkell Constructors apart as a premier general contractor. At Arkell Constructors, our goal is to exceed our clients' expectations, whether it's commercial, industrial, or facility maintenance. We have the team and processes in place to provide a solution for you. To us, every project is a resume for our future. Arkell Constructors, the solution for your next building project.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Very pleased to be joined by Chris Meaux. He is the founder and CEO of WAITR. Buddy, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you're here. Heard you speak at a Governor's Business Summit. Was very intrigued by the story. Didn't know all of the background. It is a fascinating success story. So let's start with a little personal interest, Chris. Tell us a little bit about your background, your education, where you grew up, and the path that led you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a small town in South Louisiana called Esterwood, Louisiana, and many of your viewers may know where that is, but I grew up raising cattle, showing livestock, thought I was going to be a veterinarian, graduated high school, came to LSU, and discovered that there was more to life than agriculture and cattle, and got interested in business, and then right out of college got recruited by Hyundai Electronics, which was a part of the car company, but they sold personal computers back then. And when I was in college, I worked at Computerland in Baton Rouge, and so was selling Hyundai computers and thought, this is great, you know, technology is where I want to be. And so went to work in technology right out of college, moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, eventually to Silicon Valley, and then spent a little time in Europe working in technology, and here we are.
And so at that point, I suspect you begin to think about other ideas, maybe think about becoming an entrepreneur at that point. I think you mentioned you were away from Louisiana for 20 plus years.
Right.
So let's talk about the history of WAITR, from the concept through finding the funding, coming back to Louisiana, focusing on being here. That's a fascinating story. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an entrepreneurial journey, really. You know, I started, when I got into technology, I really got interested in the entrepreneurship part of technology, and spending time in Silicon Valley, it's like a fever. You catch it, you know, being out there in front of a lot of technology startups. And so I started a technology company in the late 90s and through the internet days, and had a little bit of success early, and then it crashed and burned, and then I was burnt out on entrepreneurship for a long time because having failed, you know, I wasn't really sure why I had failed so badly, and thought it was something that I did, didn't really give credit to the time. And so for many years, I just kept thinking about what's the next thing I will do if I get back into technology. And I got interested in food and the restaurant space and got into the restaurant business for a little while and found out how hard the restaurant business was, and many people know that have done it. But I really wanted to bridge the gap between restaurants and technology. And so one night, my wife and I are having a conversation about what's for dinner. And it was getting a little frustrating because I'd suggest things and she didn't want those things.
I know how that works.
What do you want?
That's right.
You lived it, right?
That's right.
Many people have. But so, I just felt like there had to be a better way. And so I started a little test project called Meaux to Go. You would order online, order the food, select the delivery time, and we would cook it and deliver it. And it really took off. But I never could find a permanent kitchen to do it. And so it stayed on the back burner for a while. And then in 2013, I went to a startup event, decided to take that one out of the notebook, and it became WAITR.
How about
so
that?
It was, today, it's just phenomenal.
So you have the idea, right? And you say, all right, where we're going to launch this. You got to have funding for a startup like that. Those kind of technology businesses can be capital intensive. Mm-hmm. Walk us through that process, Chris, of how you actually started the company, how you pursued financing for the company, and the decision to bring it to Louisiana.
Yeah, so at the startup event that I went to in Gainesville, Florida, where we pitched the idea for WAITR, we actually won that event. But it wasn't one of the events where you win cash or money. You would win like-kind services, so accounting services, legal services, whatever. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll use the legal services and actually create the entity to start the company. Well, the lawyers that I was going to use were in Florida because this event was in Gainesville, Florida, and they said, well, it's Louisiana, it's a little bit different law. You're going to be based in Louisiana. You probably should find an attorney in Louisiana. So I found the only attorney I knew in Lake Charles, which was an old college buddy of mine here at LSU, and went and pitched the idea to him. And they said, this is interesting. Yeah, we can help you with the idea, but we'd be interested as investors. And I'm like, well, no, I think I'm going to go to venture capitalists because, having learned some of the lessons in the past, I knew venture capital was the route to go. So started talking to venture capitalists, and they wanted nothing to do with a startup or funding a startup that was going to remain in Louisiana.
Particularly a technology startup.
Particularly a technology, that's right. That was what I heard often. I'd hear them say, if you're going to do a technology company, you need to be in Austin, Silicon Valley, or Boston. And I had just moved back to Louisiana after being gone for 20 years and didn't want to move again. And so I thought, no, I want to do it here. And they said, well, great, we wish you luck. So I had to think about another way to go about it. So I went back to these attorneys and said, look, I'm going to raise the money locally. If you guys are interested, I'd like for you to be some of the first investors. And so they started introducing me to others. And before you know it, we had raised $200,000 in seed capital from individual investors. And we had the money that we needed to then really get the company started.
It's interesting, and one of the things that was so impressive to me when I first heard your story is your commitment to doing this here. When all of the folks across the country, as you run around and said, we're going to do this technology company and we're going to do it in Louisiana, sort of patted you on the back and said, hey, good luck.
Right.
Your commitment was to do it here, do it in our culture, with our food, with our restaurants, and I think that's critically important. We got about 30 seconds left in this segment, so we might carry it over, but talk about that commitment, Chris, to doing it here and some of the roadblocks you ran up against.
Yeah, so I took a page out of the Walmart book and when they started expanding in small cities in the Southeast, and I said, look, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it to serve smaller, underserved markets in the southeastern part of the United States. Where better to start than in Louisiana? So we were based in one of the markets that we wanted to serve. So it made sense for us to keep the company there and start here in Louisiana, and that's how we grew.
Let's pick up when we get back in the next segment. We're visiting with Chris Meaux. He's the founder and CEO of WAITR. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Since 1919, we've designed and constructed hundreds of industrial plants, roads, ships, dams, and executed some of the most complex jobs in the world. In fact, our quality and dependability are legendary. Today, the legend continues as Brown & Root delivers engineering, construction, maintenance, and industrial specialty services throughout the U.S. and the world from our headquarters here in Louisiana. We are Brown & Root.
ExxonMobil Baton Rouge keeps the local economy rolling. Our new aviation project created hundreds of jobs, drove millions of dollars to local businesses, and poured thousands more into our community to improve schools. 1 in 8 jobs in our parish can be traced back to ExxonMobil. Tomorrow's Baton Rouge is built by what we do today. A little energy goes a long way. ExxonMobil Baton Rouge. Energy lives here.
The 1012 Industry Report is excited to announce the 1012 Industry Weekly. This e-newsletter is free and comes to your inbox every Tuesday. All you have to do is sign up at 1012industryreport.com. 1012 Industry Report is an award-winning magazine serving South Louisiana's petrochemical and oil and gas industries. From Lake Charles to Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we cover the news, people, projects, and issues that matter to industry. The 1012 Industry Report magazine and weekly email. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Chris Meaux, founder and CEO of WAITR, is our guest. We talked, Chris, setting up the first segment about your commitment to Louisiana and the fact that you were going to create and grow this business here. And that a lot of people, venture capital folks and others, said, look, you can't build a technology company in Louisiana. We'd love to help you. We love your idea, but you need to be in Silicon Valley or you need to be in the Northeast. Your commitment was here. And because you were so determined, you were eventually able to raise the capital that you needed in Louisiana. Talk about that process and what you were able to accomplish.
Yeah, I even surprised myself, really, because, being told you can't raise money, going out and raising a little bit to actually get the company started, so you know that you can raise a little bit, but then knowing it's going to take millions of dollars to build a company, could we do it? And we did. We raised $26 million right here in Louisiana, all from high net worth individuals, angel investor groups, organized angel capital. I was really astonished to see, the entrepreneurial ecosystem that we really have here, and it's just gotten stronger since the success of WAITR and other startups that have been successful here in the state. And
it is a testament to what you can do if you put your head down and you are determined to make it happen. I'll talk more later about entrepreneurship, and I want to visit with you about that and kind of the lessons that you learned. But here's a question I always like to ask successful folks who have started businesses. When did you know? When did you realize, hey, I've got something here?
Right. Yeah, so in 2014, we rolled out kind of a prototype of our product. And so, obviously, you're always going to get support as an entrepreneur from your family and friends, right? They're going to be your cheerleaders, right. And it's great to listen to them sometimes because they will make you think you have the best idea in the world, and sometimes not. But our friends and family started using the app, and it was solving the problem that we had. And at this time, we weren't even doing delivery, so it was just carry out only. And then one day, me and my co-founders are sitting around, and we were customer support, we were the delivery drivers, so we saw everything. And one day we see the name pop up on the screen, and we didn't know the person. And so we asked each other, is this someone you know? And no, it's not someone I know. And so it was the first person that we ordered that we didn't know.
Right.
And at that point, we all looked at each other and we said these words, I think we're on to something.
There you go.
So basically exactly what you said. We knew we were on to something at that point.
That's a great story, and it's always interesting, and it's always a little bit different when you talk to entrepreneurs. So give us an overview of WAITR today. I think that everyone watching us is probably aware of who you are and what you do, right. But tell us about the service that you provide and how you created it.
Yeah, so I talk about this a lot when I meet with different groups. People think of us as a delivery service, right? But we're really not. I mean, our company is a technology company at heart, and so the platform that we have is purpose-built to provide a service to both restaurants and consumers in the markets that we operate in. And so it's really interesting to me because knowing that we're a technology company but having people perceive us as a service company is really the point, right? I mean, we want to make sure that we're solving a problem and we're using technology to do it because we can do it more efficiently. And so that's the company that we are today. We started out developing that technology platform years ago. Today it's matured into a really robust, multiple functional platform. So there's a piece of technology for consumers, technology for drivers, and technology for restaurants, then the technology for us to monitor all of the working of the logistics. And so it's a very complex system of different platforms that we've developed that come together to actually facilitate what we do.
Algorithms that help drivers be more efficient, a lot of different things that we can get into. But I will tell you this, after we knew a couple of months ago that we were going to be able to get you on the show, I walked into a place where I go for lunch regularly, the Jambalaya shop on Perkins Road, Baton Rouge, and he had his WAITR sign there. And so I asked the manager, the guy who owns that particular branch, I said, hey, tell me about WAITR. Has that helped you? He said, man, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to our business. Yeah. And you said, when I first saw you speak, what you just mentioned, we are not a food delivery service. We are a technology company that helps restaurants grow. And that really has been your focus. And obviously it's paying off. When you hear restaurant owners say things like, WAITR is one of the best things that ever happened to us, it has to be rewarding, not just from a business sense, Chris, but from a personal perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a restaurateur, and so I really went to solve two problems. One, let's answer the question, what's for dinner? And then also to help restaurateurs grow their business. Because if you think about the restaurant industry, and especially in the markets that we serve, most restaurants in the country are independents. They're single unit operators or small chains. And they have to find a way to compete against the big chains without the budget. And so a product like WAITR and a company like ours that can partner with these restaurants to help them grow their business is an advantage that levels the playing field for those restaurants. And so, and it's even more pronounced in these smaller markets that we serve because higher percentage of the restaurants are independents. And so a restaurant like the Jambalaya shop is now able to compete on the same playing field with a larger chain restaurant because their menu is in the pocket of every consumer in that market. And that's been a tremendous upside to all of the restaurants on our platform.
I've got about 30 seconds left in this segment, but I want to talk about competition a little bit because, you know, WAITR seems to be leading this segment, but there are others out there, Uber Eats and others. What differentiates you from those competitors?
Well, for starters, our technology platform is purpose-built for serving smaller to medium-sized markets. So our delivery algorithms, the way we present the food in the app with the photos, the organization of the app, it's all built to serve these kinds of markets. And so we dominate these markets. They're very competitive. We have competitors in every market, but we dominate in these markets mostly due to the technology, but also because of the team we have on the ground in every market, which is a differentiator than most of our competitors.
I want to take a break. I'll come back. I want to talk about the fact that you've gone public, your relationship with Tillman Fertitta in Houston, right. Drew Brees, part of your organization, and what the future holds for WAITR. We're visiting with Chris Meaux. He's the founder and CEO, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
I just see the positive things on the horizon, and BRAC is a real integral part of that.
BRAC's taken a very forward role in trying to help align people and align strategies and align solutions.
You'll find that you'll have an opportunity at BRAC to make a difference.
It's about being a part of conversations and really having a voice in terms of how we move the city forward.
A lot of my friends were in college and stuff, which is great. It wasn't the route for me, you know, and financially, I know it's tough on a lot of people, so I saw welding. At first, my instinct was like, what pays the most money? You know, so I was like, welding, that's the way to go. It made a great living for me and my family. You can always work your way up. There's multiple ladders, and really the sky's the limit. You know, I thought I got to the max with as high as I can go with welding. As high as you want to grow, you can absolutely achieve it.
Promoting workplace safety and family wellness. That's our motto at Gulf Coast Occupational Medicine. The Gulf Coast staff is made up of some of the most knowledgeable and hardest working medical professionals in Louisiana. We care about your safety and your bottom line. With 8 convenient locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, our services include injury management, physical exams, medical surveillance, and substance abuse testing. For more information, visit us on the web at gcombr.info and ride the wave to safety.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Chris Meaux, the founder and CEO of WAITR, is our guest. A couple of months ago, you and Governor Edwards announced the location of your corporate headquarters for WAITR in Lafayette, Louisiana. Here's a South Louisiana, Acadiana native building a nationwide company in Lafayette, roots in Lake Charles and that area as well. Talk about that new corporate headquarters and what that means to you to be able to make that announcement.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting for me to be able to come home after being gone for 20 years because I lived away from Louisiana for 20 years, to come home and build a company here and put people to work here and specifically in technology because, I left Louisiana because there wasn't an opportunity to work in technology in Louisiana many years ago. Mm-hmm. It's been just a tremendous experience to be able to build this company here, and we've had so much support from all of the markets that we've worked in here in Louisiana, and from Lake Charles to Baton Rouge and beyond. But Lafayette has been in particular supportive and has really rolled out the red carpet, and we just leased 48,000 square feet in downtown Lafayette, which is really exciting for our team, which is mostly a younger generation of professionals that like being downtown and the ability to walk to bars and restaurants and things during lunch and so on. So we're really excited about the future of the company in Louisiana. We're really excited about the future in Lafayette.
Well, on behalf of all of us in Louisiana, thank you for making that commitment. If you live along the Gulf Coast, you know the name Tillman Fertitta, Houston billionaire, the Landry restaurant chain, also the owner of the Houston Rockets, who are, obviously in the playoffs as we tape this show. His organization sort of made a huge investment in WAITR, took the company public. What has that relationship with him personally and his corporation meant to your business and to you personally?
Yeah, so, if you'd asked me 5 years ago that, or tell me that I'd get Drew Brees as an investor in WAITR and Tillman Fertitta would eventually buy the company and take it public, I'd have said you're crazy, right? But it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, Tillman and his organization are great to work with. Tillman still sits on the board of directors, so he and I talk from time to time. I talk to his members of his organization regularly. These guys are business guys, but most importantly, they know this space, right? They've operated restaurants for years. So they understand our customer base. They understand the vision for the company. It's just been a phenomenal experience working with these guys. Well,
and it's probably very exciting, maybe a little scary at the beginning to think about the magnitude of what you were doing there. Brandon Landry, the owner and founder of Walk-Ons, was on the show a few weeks ago, and he talked about having Drew Brees as a partner in his organization. And he said, Drew's just not an investor. Drew is an active participant in all the businesses that he participates with. And he said, and he is a consummate business guy. I'm sure you found the same thing about Drew.
Absolutely. And in fact, Brandon is the one who actually introduced me to Drew. So I did a business pitch competition here in Baton Rouge, and Brandon was on the panel of judges, and he said, hey, Drew's been asking questions about, the walk-on sales increase in Lake Charles. So I told him about WAITR. He's interested in talking to you. And so that's how I got connected with Drew. And he's right. I mean, from the day that I had that first conversation with Drew, to the day that we went public, we spoke regularly. He was involved. He wanted to know about the business. He wanted to know why we were winning. He wanted to understand the competition. He really wanted to understand the business, and so he was very active in understanding the business, especially in the off season. He gets a little busy during the season, but in the off season, we talked regularly.
Brandon describes him as an all-pro on the football field, an all-pro in business, and an all-pro human being. And obviously, those of us who are fans can see that. It's been a heck of a journey for you over the last 5 or 6 years, hasn't it?
It has.
What's the most significant thing you've learned about being an entrepreneur, and the most significant thing you've learned about yourself?
Wow, that's a tough question. The most significant thing I've learned about being an entrepreneur is that you can just never give up, even when you think that the end is in sight. Because people, look at WAITR as the overnight success story, right? But for 25 years, it's been in the making. That's through all the failures that I've had as an entrepreneur, the ability to try to pick myself back up after I thought I never could, right? And so I learned you just have to be persistent, and you have to listen to other folks, but you don't necessarily have to do everything they tell you to do. You understand your business.
Trust your instincts, right?
Trust your instincts. That's exactly right. And so that's what I've been able to do.
Chris, what's the future hold? Where is WAITR headed?
Well, we're a public company now. Obviously, that's quite a bit different than operating a private company, but we have big dreams for the future. I mean, as I look at the restaurant landscape 3 years, 5 years down the line, I realize that delivery is just the very first piece of changing an entire industry. And so, we're looking, we have a vision for the future that includes a vertically integrated platform that helps restaurants grow their business or lower their cost. And we may partner for some of that. We may develop new opportunities internally for those things. We may acquire. But the industry is going to change. And it's most important for us that restaurants think of WAITR as their most valued partner.
If I'm watching this and I don't have the WAITR app downloaded, or I'm interested in more information about the company, what do I do?
It's really simple. You can go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download the WAITR app. If you live in the Midwest, you can download the Bite Squad app because we bought the Bite Squad brand as well, or you can simply go to waiterapp.com.
Listen, man, I'm excited to have you here. I've been looking forward to this. Congratulations on all your success. Keep up the good work. We'll have you back on next year to talk about it more.
I appreciate it.
That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.